Okay, more visions. So God is with the king, he's with the high priest, he's going to empower them both. I looked again, this is now Zechariah 5, I looked again, and there before me was a flying scroll. He asked me, what do you see? I answered him, I see a flying scroll, 30 feet long and 15 feet wide. It's a pretty big scroll, with writing on it, on both sides, as it turns out. And he said to me, this is the curse that is going out over the whole land. For according to what it says on one side, every thief will be banished. And according to what it says on the other, everyone who swears falsely will be banished. The Lord Almighty declares, I will send it out, and it will enter the house of the thief, and the house of him who swears falsely by my name. And it will remain in his house and destroy it, both its timbers and its stones. So there's a vision of a scroll with writing on both sides, a big scroll, about the size of a billboard. And it has writing on both sides that curses those who break the law, basically. In this case, it's not just about thievery or lying or taking God's name in vain or swearing falsely by his name. These two things are representative of the whole. So it's referring to anybody who breaks the law. So on this scroll, on both sides is written a curse that curses those who break the law. So we're going to be removing sin from the land and sinners from the land. It'd be kind of like those billboards you pass by sometimes on the highway, which say stuff like, sin leads to hell, or lust leads to hell, or things like that. I've seen billboards like that. It'd be kind of like that. It's a large scroll flying in the air, traveling around, with curses written on both sides, condemning those who break the law, either thievery or lying, or really they'll stand for all the various sins you could commit. Then the angel who was speaking to me came forward and said to me, look up and see what it is that is appearing. I asked, what is it? He replied, it is a measuring basket. And he added, this is the iniquity of the people throughout the land. That's sin. So now we're personifying sin, not just the sin, the sins or the sinners, but the sin itself. Then the cover of lead was raised, and there in the basket sat a woman. He said, this is wickedness. And he pushed her back into the basket, apparently she was trying to climb out, and pushed the lead cover down over its mouth. Then I looked up, and there before me were two women with the wind in their wings. They had wings like those of a stork, and they lifted up the basket between heaven and earth. Where are they taking the basket? I asked the angel who was speaking to me. He replied, to Shinar, to the house of Shinar, Babylonia. The actual word there is Shinar, which is an older word for the land of Babylon, to build a house for it. When it is ready, the basket will be set there in its place. So sin belongs out here. We're getting sin, not just the sins, not just the sinners, those who commit the sins, cursing those who commit the sins. We're getting sin itself out of there. We're personifying sin in the form of a woman and getting her out of the land. We'll see her again, by the way. This woman that represents wickedness and iniquity, we'll see her in Babylon in days to come. Revelation will depict this woman sitting on Babylon, and there's a vision to that too. But it doesn't belong here, whether it's in Shinar, in Babylonia, or Rome, as Babylon stands for in the book of Revelation, where we see this woman again. Sin does not belong in the land of God. It belongs somewhere out there. Get it away. I believe these two women with the wings, assuming these are angels, because I'm assuming they are, I believe this is the only time in Scripture that angels are ever represented as looking like women. We often a lot of angels often are drawn very feminine characteristics these days, if you see them in artwork or artistic interpretations, but I'm pretty sure this is the only time in Scripture that angels are ever depicted looking like women, assuming these are in fact angels, which I'm assuming they are. Now, because wickedness is depicted as a woman doesn't mean that women are wicked or anything like that. This is just, throughout the Bible we've had this metaphor of the people being a bride or a harlot, okay? The holy people stand for the bride of God, the bride of Christ, and the harlot is the wicked woman, the bride of the world, the bride of Satan. And we've seen this contrast depicted a lot. Proverbs depicted the choice between lady wisdom and lady folly. Choose wisdom, which leads to life, or not folly, which leads to death and destruction. And they're both depicted as women. At the end of Proverbs, in fact, we see Lady Wisdom personified as this woman of great character. Revelation, we have the bride of Christ, the bride of the Lamb, and the harlot, this woman again, who rides the beast of Babylon. So that is what this woman is. She is represented, and throughout the Old Testament, Jerusalem is often personified as a woman, virgin daughter of Jerusalem, or daughter of my people, and Israel itself is often referred to as the bride of God. So this woman represents basically the evil half of humanity, the people who do not want to, who are not part of the bride, who are not the bride, who are not part of God's people, everybody else basically. They are represented as a personified wicked woman, just like those who are make up the bride of God and are personified as a righteous, holy woman. I looked up again, and there before me were 4 chariots coming out from between 2 mountains of bronze. The first chariot had red horses, the second black, the third white, and the fourth dappled, all of them powerful. So here they are, the 4 horsemen again. I asked the angel who was speaking to me, "What are these, my Lord?" The angel answered me, "These are the 4 spirits of heaven, going out from standing in the presence of the Lord of the whole world." So they were in his presence. We saw them back in chapter 1, and then they're going out now. The one with the whole black horses is going toward the north country. And that probably refers to Babylon, because again, you get to Babylon by going north and then east. Babylon itself is not north of Israel, but they come from the north, and to get there you have to start out by going to the north. The one with the white horses towards the west, that would be the Mediterranean Sea. And the one with the dappled horses toward the south. I think that's probably Egypt. South of Israel is Egypt, and that's another enemy. When the powerful horses went out, they were straining to go throughout the earth. So they wanted to go. They wanted to get started. And he said, "Go throughout the earth." So they went throughout the earth. Then he called to me, "Look, those going toward the north country have given my spirit rest in the land of the north." Which would be, basically, again, that's a land of captivity. You get to Babylon by going north and then south on the Euphrates River, or southeast on the Euphrates River. So that's where the captivity land is. So you get there by going north and then southeast. So that's what he's referring to. Like they've settled the land of captivity. That is not a problem anymore. Now, to wrap it all up, we have this. Zechariah is apparently awake at this point. He apparently got awakened up in the beginning of chapter 4. And now he's had his visions, and the word of the Lord comes to him again. The word of the Lord came to me. "Take silver and gold from the exiles, Heldai, Tobijah, and Jediah, who have arrived from Babylon." So they must have recently gotten there, I guess. They're probably there to give money for the temple rebuilding on behalf of those still living in exile. Go that same day to the house of Josiah, son of Zephaniah. Take the silver and gold and make a crown, and set it on the head of the high priest, Joshua, son of Jehozadak. Now, the high priest didn't normally wear a crown. He wore a turban. Read about that in chapter 3. So there's a reason why this high priest is getting a crown. Tell him this is what the Lord Almighty says. "Here is the man whose name is the branch." Now referring to that branch imagery again. That goes back to Jesus. "And he will branch out from this place and build the temple of the Lord. It is he who will build the temple of the Lord, and he will be clothed with majesty and will sit and rule on his throne. And he will be a priest on his throne." So there again is that reference to the branch being both a priest and a king. Now, some of this is just Joshua in the sense that he will build this temple. Zerubbabel and Joshua together will build this temple that they're building right now. But a lot of this, most of this points towards the branch that is to come, who will build a new temple, a greater temple, the one that Haggai was talking about, and Haggai 2, a greater house of glory than the one that they're doing right now, or even the one that Solomon had. And he will build a temple, and it will be a great and glorious temple. And he'll be both a priest and a king at the same time. "It is he who will build the temple of the Lord, and he will be clothed with majesty and will sit and rule on his throne. And he will be a priest on his throne, and there will be harmony between the two. The crown will be given to Heldai, Tobijah, Jedaiah, and Hen, son of Zephaniah, as a memorial in the temple of the Lord. So Joshua, the high priest, doesn't get to keep it. He'll wear it for this ceremony, but he will not keep it. It'll go in the temple as a memorial. Those who are far away will come and help to build the temple of the Lord, and you will know the Lord Almighty has sent me to you. This will happen if you diligently obey the Lord your God. That's it for the night visions. He's encouraging the people to finish building that temple. The land is at peace. The gods, cherubim, are going out patrolling the earth and settling the problems in the north country, Babylon, and keeping the Israelites at peace. He is going to banish sin and wickedness in their land, and he's going to empower their leaders and the people to build this temple and finish it. So do that. Get busy and don't fret about how big the project is. Don't worry, but just concentrate on the things you need to do each day, the small things. You do that. God doesn't despise the small things. You shouldn't either. You do those small things. You do them. God will empower you to do them. And before you know it, Zerubbabel will be capping off this temple and finishing it.